let's make some pickled Daikon radish. So what is Daikon radish? Well, you'll find it a lot in many different Asian cuisines, Korean, Japanese, and here is a Daikon radish. It's just a big hunk of radish. This one is about 600 grams, and this is what we're going to be using to fill a 1-quart canning jar. First thing we need to do is peel this. You see it's got a very white flesh in here, and one of the things we're going to be doing is adding some color to that. In our pickling liquid is going to have some turmeric in it, and that brings that yellow color. You will find pickled daikon both in this very white sort of color and in the yellow, depending on different restaurants you go to. I kind of like that yellow look. It's very bright and some little bit of flavor from the turmeric. Let's make sure we got it all. There's a couple little spots here. Some of these deeper ones I'm not going to worry too much about. What I want to do now is cut this into the size and shape of what I'm going to be pickling. A lot of times you'll get these in long wedges or even little chunks, but I like sort of that half moon shape. So first thing I want to do is cut this in half to be a little easier to work with. Then I want to split it down the middle. And then I'm just going to slice this into thin sort of half moon shapes. Don't have to be super thin, but not like that, maybe 1/8 or 1/4 inch. I'm just going to start transferring these to a bowl as I cut them. I always get asked about this knife, this Nakiri knife, I use it to cut vegetables. It is not expensive. It's lasted for years. I just sharpen it with a stone. Works really well. Link in the description. This is one of those things, I don't like spending a lot of money on knives because, I don't know, the ones that aren't as expensive seem to work just as well. So what I want to do now is I'm going to sprinkle a tablespoon of kosher salt on these pieces and just sort of rub it around so they all get some salt on it. And then that's going to sit for like 20 to 30 minutes to sort of marinate in that, bring out a little bit of the moisture. All right, we're going to let this sit for about 20 to 30 minutes, then we'll come back, rinse them off, then it'll be time to start making our brine. Our daikon radish pieces have been sort of marinating in that kosher salt. Let's head over to the sink, rinse them off, and get them ready to get in our canning jar. Want to get all that salt rinsed off here. Gonna let that water drain off there, and we're gonna move over to the stove to get our brine ready. So I have my saucepan on the stove here, and I'm gonna add 1.5 cups of water. I'm gonna bring this up to medium-high heat. I'm gonna add 1/2 tablespoon of kosher salt, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. I wanna bring this to a boil and make sure we stir it. I want everything to dissolve in there, the sugar, the salt. Okay, that's coming up to a boil now. Looks like everything is dissolved in there. I'm going to turn off the heat and add 1 cup of rice wine vinegar. Quick stir. I'm going to set that aside and we're going to start filling our pickling jar. So I have my sterilized jar here, sterilized lid waiting off to the side, and we're going to start filling this with our daikon pieces. See how many we can fit in here. Might need to push some down and readjust, but I think we'll get most of them in here. And then we're going to get everybody in here. It's good. Now I'm going to start ladling our pickling liquid in here. Let's get it close to the jar to minimize the mess. Want to make sure we get the liquid above the daikon pieces. Tiny bit more. Now we're going to get the lid on and we're going to let this cool because this is going in the refrigerator. So it's probably going to take about 1 hour for it to cool. This is not a long-term preservation method. This is a quick pickling method. Once it's in here and cooled down and in the refrigerator, I've had it last a few weeks. Usually for me though, it's gone in 2 weeks. I like to make things in about this size, because I know I'm going to eat it within a couple weeks in different dishes. So let's get our lid on. That's looking good. So after an hour, this is going to go in the refrigerator, and we'll come back in a few days and have a taste. So our Daikon radish have now been pickling for 3 days. It's time to open it up and have a taste. And I've gotten a lot of questions from people when I posted a picture on both Instagram and Facebook, like, well, what are these for? You find these a lot in Asian cuisine. Like if I go to one of my favorite restaurants and get a sashimi bowl, there'll be Daikon radish like this there. If I go to this Korean fried chicken restaurant, there'll be the not yellow version of this without the turmeric, and that is just terrific. It's so refreshing. So let's crack this open and have a taste. I just love the beautiful yellow color in here. Let's cut a piece and let's have a taste. One of the things I really like about Daikon like this, and what's used in restaurants that I've mentioned, is you get that bite of the radish, which is natural to a radish. Daikon's a little less than sort of the traditional American red radish, but it's still there. But then you combine it with the sweetness from the pickling, so good. Nice contrast, that bite and the sweetness. And so yeah, this goes good with salads. If you're doing, say, a poke bowl, this is really good with that. I just love it.